Okay, this time I didn't get as far into the introduction before remembering I need to start the recording. So thanks everyone for joining us. This is another one of the great training calls with Marnie, our OPH trainer. As you'll see, she has a dog and she's out on the street, so this should be a particularly exciting call. But like previous times, or well, the one previous call we've done this, I'm simply in a kind of hosting, moderating role. My name is Irene Skricky. I'm a volunteer with OPH, and I'm just going to be making sure that things run smoothly and Marnie doesn't have to you know, try to admit people.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So we got a good group of about 8 people. I imagine a few more may come in. So tonight we will be covering walking on a leash. So we'll do same as we did last time. We'll let Marnie talk for a little bit. I guess she may actually show us some things with this dog, and then we'll be able to, you know, ask questions and interact with each other. So thanks everyone for joining. And all right, Marnie, let's turn it over to you.
I'll turn to you.
Thank you, Irene. Perfect. Can you guys, can everybody hear me okay with any background noise? How close to the phone do I need to be?
I had a hard time hearing. I can't hear it very well.
How about now?
Better.
That's better, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll stay close to the phone and then we'll turn the phone so that you can hear me and watch the dog. Thanks for coming, everybody. And we will take questions and help you with your individual cases, but you can also email. Leash reactivity is more of a visual skill. Sometimes I'll talk in Zoom and explain theory, but really what I want to do is show you a dog who's biting people. He's so reactive in tight spaces. He's just terrified. He's not aggressive. He's not mean. He likes people. But he, in a tight space, he feels trapped. He's been traumatized somewhere in his past, for sure. We know with this dog. And oh, here's some people now. So watch what I do. If you look at the floor, and now you came to the food, then it's not a true response. But I'm gonna take it because it happened in real life. Do you see how he has all this space on a long line? Because I can. If you can use a long line to give them space to make choices, use it. If you can't, start on a short leash. So I'm going to start from the beginning on a short leash. And I'm just going to show you quickly. We'll jump in and take questions and you'll see how we progress. Right now, he can't walk past people. He can't go in a store and walk past people without trying to eat them. He's terrified. And a dog isn't a squirrel. When a squirrel's terrified, what do? When a dog's terrified, their DNA tells them to be a predator and go on the offensive and make it look good. He's terrified. He doesn't mean it. He doesn't want anything to do with it, but he's never been taught to take himself away. And here's the important part. If anyone's listening to this, this is the one part of the whole thing you'll want to hear. See that right there? Did you catch it? I can't tell what you can see. And I shorten the leash. Just watch what I do. I'm not looking at them. I'm not looking at the dog. I'm rewarding choices. So the one thing I was about to say went out my brain because people came and he growled and barked a little bit. I'm saying make a choice, have space to make a decision. See people, tell me how you feel. And then when I invite you to leave, will you leave or keep barking and growling? If the answer is that they want to keep barking and growling, they're too close. You can't fix this without getting some space. Can you look where the people are? He's looking at them. Now look at the dog. He's all proud of himself. And I could feed that. Now here's more people. So go ahead. Now he knows the game. Yeah, good boy. Now he knows the game. He's got the idea. See people, tell me how you feel. Come away, get fed, and I'm out of it. I can take the phone for a second. So the most important thing with a leash reactive dog, they are on a leash. It's around their neck or around their chest. They are helpless. They are defenseless in their minds, and they need to tell you how they feel and make the scary thing go away. Reactivity can be aggression, but it's usually fear gone south, which is exactly what this is, because I know off leash, he's a sweetie in the right setup. But if he's terrified about being held in a tight space and then walked past people who maybe he's had a bad experience with people, maybe not, but he's scared of it regardless of what happened. So if he's held and moved through things happening quickly over and over and over again, all of a sudden they snap and they start barking and it gets worse and worse and worse. Has anyone here got a reactive dog? Or working with a reactive dog right now? Do we have a show of hands? Okay. Okay. All right. So they're in the right call. So the first thing is give them space. Find people to go, find a place you can take the dog out. I didn't know where anyone would be coming here today. I just came out here. No one may come, people may come. And we start the process of saying on a long line. I'm just showing you, if you can't use a long line because it's got to be safe. I'm not going to let him anywhere near people. Nowhere near 6 feet. If you can't keep him 6 feet away or more, you may need 50 feet at first. You can't practice it. I need to pay him for desirable behavior. So here's people. So let's use them as guinea pigs. Watch the dog. Watch the dog. I don't watch the dog. I don't watch the people. If you've watched my leash walking before, you know I don't follow if there's tension on the leash. And then I pay him before it gets bad. He saw the people. He looked at me. Look at his face. Is he now aggressive or reactive? But I don't know if you heard the growling and snarling and snapping and barking. It was only a tiny little bit, but he doesn't feel good about people walking past him. What I'm telling him with a click and a treat is that seeing people and coming away from them is what pays. It pays roast pork right now. So there's a bite coming. Let's try that. That's going to be difficult. And then we'll open up for some questions while I work on him in the background. But I want you to know that space and the leash itself cannot be tight. If you've got a dog that's on a tight leash, you need to get into a space where they're not flopping around and pulling and jumping. If I'm standing still and he's pulling, I won't follow. I will turn around and walk away. So we've already done that with him. You can tell he's leash trained. Watch. You could just stay still and I'll walk around you. I just want to show that he will follow. I take him out when he's hungry and I don't give him all his food in a bowl. He works for some of his food. He's a working dog. A lot of leash reactive dogs do not have enough to occupy their brain. We're too passive and we keep walking and walking and walking. Find a spot and go back and forth until you can walk like this. When he pulls, if he pulls, that was mean, but he'll survive it because we've done lots of stuff together. Yeah, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy. Good job. I just can't get him to pull any other way, and I just came to me. Watch again. If he pulls, he knows that I won't walk. When he pulls, I will stop over and over. Yeah, until he takes the tension away. You can't fix reactivity if you've got a dog that doesn't understand it's their job to stop pulling you. You can email me to get how to do that. I've done, there's another Zoom call, right, Irene? So we linked that, I think. See how he put himself in position to walk? Watch one more time and then. If you can't walk like that, you're not ready to add in people, okay? So now we're gonna just walk past the street. I'm gonna make sure they know that I've got hold of him. Gonna follow. I'm gonna turn around because he's looking at them. And I'm gonna walk away. Yeah, good boy, good boy, good boy. Dogs, oh, they're following us. Come away. And he's all happy. Good boy. It doesn't even need to be food every time. It can be toys, tugs. The more you've got in your arsenal, the better. But you better have something they want, because dogs want to work for a reward. And he's seeing people go by. He's learning that not only is it not unsafe, it pays roast pork, it pays games, it pays attention. So I cut down the food I'm giving at any other time. I cut down the attention he gets from me. I save it for where he's making choices. I pay him for him making choices. I'm not managing it. If you're telling your dog what to do every second, look, show the people again. Yeah, good boy, good boy, good boy. If you're telling your dog what to do all the time, if you're managing them all the time, like, no, Fido, stop, come here, sit, stay. You're thinking for them. They're not doing the thinking. They're not making choices to come away from the problem. A reactive dog needs to learn to shush, come away, give themselves space, and take themselves away from the problem, even if a person's coming right at them. So we will be that way. Someone can come right at him and he will turn and take me away. He'll tell me how he feels. That's where your partnership needs to change. Your relationship's broken with a reactive dog, and they may have practiced it with someone else. You may have just inherited a dog you don't even know. You need space. You need a longer line if you can do it. You need to get somewhere where there's a few people. You need to pay big. Think big. Stop giving them free food in a bowl when you could be working on a problem at food time. It's that simple. Just trying to think that I've covered everything. Harness, use a front fastening. Have a look at this dog. See how there's tension on the leash because he found something stinky? I will stand here like this. Look at I will stand here, bend my knees and turn my back on anything he wants that I'm not giving him. If he wants to go, are you catching me? Anything he wants to look at or go towards, if I'm not telling him to go towards it or look at it, I will turn my back and reject it with my body language. And I'll use a harness. I won't choke him. You can't add tension or pressure to a reactive dog and make it better. It's not possible. It will make it worse, I promise you. Okay, go ahead and open it up, Irene. Let's take in some questions while I noodle around. I can hear you.
Okay. First of all, it's very fun. I thank you, Laurie, if you were letting people in. I was so transfixed watching Marnie. I was not admitting people, which is supposed to be my job here. But that was great. And as always, I've got to do some of this stuff with my dog. Also got to say, Barbara, it's great to see Kuno there. A former foster of mine has been over and playing tug of war with Barbara as we speak. Okay, so
that's the first time he came this close to Zoom. He's usually afraid of Zoom.
Fascinating. There we go. Maybe he recognizes it's an OPH call and it's his friends from OPH. Well, let's see if people have specific questions in the group. And also, here we go. Here's well, let's see if there's any verbal questions. And this is one question in the chat I will read in a second, unless someone else wants to jump in first.
I don't mind asking a question, which is, and Marnie's a little bit familiar with me and Kuno, that so when I take Kuno out, she's giving me ideas that I should take him out to the suburbs and work with him in a more spacious place. But when I'm walking him daily, you know, he's afraid of people. He's not aggressive towards them, but he pulls away from them. And I learned last week to actually try to take him away from people so that he starts to trust me. So I've been doing that as much as I can. But sometimes, you know, I'm dealing with one person on that side of the street, one person on this side of the street, and there's no real place to go. And I'm just curious, like, if there's a way to work with what she's saying in a tighter space. Like, how do I deal with that in a tighter space on a daily basis? She's muted, I think.
Okay, go.
Perfect question, Barbara. You're brilliant. And thank you for watching again a second time. That's really nice to see that it was encouraging enough to bring you back. I've got a bunch of people coming now. He's fine with that, but other people may come from the back and we may start getting hemmed in and then we'll have a problem. I have to shorten up when that happens, but keep it loose. Number one, keep it loose. I bend over, hard to do. I've got a bad back. I know how important it is. I increase the value of my treats. Hot steak for this, only for this. I don't have it today because, of course, not. But you see all these people. He was lunging, snarling, snapping. Yay! Good boy. Good boy. I have the leash short enough, but it's loose. It's not tight. I'm keeping my back to the crowd. Show the crowd. There's people behind me. There's people passing more and more places. We may get more and more hemmed in. I always keep the leash loose. That's why that should never change ever, or you don't walk. I'll stay close to my house. If it's awful, we will bail, or to the car where I can drive away. I will have target stick training done, Barbara. You need a target stick training, which means this. And then you feed from the other hand. We haven't done this, so you'll see me do this from scratch right now.
I actually have watched a couple of videos since last time, and I've started to do that with them.
So I'll do it. I've never done it with him. Watch me do it right now, just real quick. Feed from the other hand. I present the target, and that's why I like a spoon at first, or something that's, because if they're afraid of hands, that could be a problem. And then I'll feed from the other hand, or I'll have a jar of treats, and I'll go back to it and feed. If they're looking for the target, you can get them out of a really tight space. How we're going to do elevators or lows is a target stick. I want impressed on it. I want to get that so good. But you need high value tug games interspersed with high value treats that don't happen any other time. Really stop feeding in a bowl. Really feed on your training walks. Get the partnership so that the dog is so excited about the training. And then you have to reduce the stimulus. If there's too much stimulus, see how he was definitely getting triggers stacked. He was definitely approaching a threshold when all those people were coming, but you couldn't see it. My leash was loose. His ears were floppy. There was no piloerection. His body was soft enough. He was starting to tense up a little, but he was looking to them and then looking to me to get him out. He trusted me. He didn't explode. He didn't go over threshold. If you've gone over threshold, it's just time to do a reset. Bail and start over. But you've got to have a bail spot. Here, watch. Just watch. Yes. Yes. I'm just teaching him. We may go towards people, but then we're going to turn around and run and get steak. I'm going to click and take you to the steak. You can set up a jar that you run back to. So you're walking towards the people right before he gets like too triggered, right before he gets triggered, before it's chemicals in his body, click and retreat back to the place that dispenses the steak. So it's practicing keeping your connection and reading him before he freaks out. Does that make sense or help?
Yeah, I mean, it's just with him, he freaks out so often. It's a ton of work. But I have one other quick question, which is, you said, I'm not looking at the people and I'm not looking at the dog. What are you looking at?
I'm not looking at the dog when there's people coming. I'm looking at where, thank you for asking, where I'm going to exit my bail. And I'm going to give him about 3 to 10 seconds, depending on how long we got, how safe it is, how triggered he is. 3 to 10 seconds, we're just turning my back. I'm setting all this energy, right? Everything is energy. So I'm about to bail. Oh, I'm getting ready to bail. And off I go. And then he's coming whether he wants to or not. We're out. We're out. He gets a chance to come with me, and then I'm just gone and he's coming because I'm walking and there's a leash attached to the harness. Look at his little face. He looks so happy to be doing this. But but he would definitely have a problem with people coming too close. So I cannot let us get close to people. And hey, wait. Free snacks, look at that. Yeah, so it's massive that you are doing smaller steps. You're keeping the connection. You're sort of keeping close to him, turning more, bailing back to the house more or the car more. Start to use a cue word before you leave. Let's go, or leaving now, so that you're telling the dog we're about to leave, and you turn. Wait a couple seconds, go. Feed. Approach something, leaving now. And you're going. So even if you were to think about reacting, you're leaving now, but that's more management based, and I'd rather the dog did it themselves. But just to get you going a bit more, I would add in a leaving now, just to make yourself a bit more comfortable. You just need to connect more space, loose leash. Give me a video of you guys practicing what you've learned. If you could give me an update video on you guys practicing this and any issues, if you've got a friend that could capture it, I could probably point some things out. Anyone else?
I like let's go, because sometimes he's afraid or he's preoccupied and I can't get his attention to get him to move before the person gets close enough. So if I do let's go all the time, if he hears me say that, I have more chance of getting his attention. Yeah.
Leaving. You really need to turn your back and say, I'm going to that fire hydrant. You need to have purpose. And then watch this. It's like magic. Watch it. It's almost like magic. See how he's going back to me? He's preoccupied. Watch this. They just know that you're leaving. They just know you're leaving. Once you do it over and over and over again, but more you need to do the unspoken practice, the turn and leave, and get him to start hooking back on with you. He needs to feel you leaving, and he's not doing that. So I need to see where that's broken. Because I've got kids running now.
So Marnie, I have this image because Barbara lives in a fairly urban area. I do too, and I just have this picture of those of us in those areas literally scuttling along the street, running away from everyone coming near us. It's, I guess that's what it has to be like. But ironically, yeah. I feel like COVID has been despite all the horrible things, has been a bit of a blessing, because now I have a somewhat reactive dog, and now for months people cross the street when I'm coming, not because of my dog, but because in the midst of COVID they wanted to keep the 6 or more feet away, and so it was much easier to walk my dog in that time. But I see us having to kind of maintain, for those of us with dogs like that, we may have to maintain that.
Get signs on the dog too. The yellow outfits or harnesses, a sign that says "afraid, stay back," or anything you can do. A muzzle with they have muzzles with pictures on them and things like that. Anything you can do that just sends a visual cue that your dog's afraid. The yellow dog program used to be a thing, or the yellow ribbon program used to be a thing. I haven't seen it really truly take off, but it would be nice.
Yeah.
If people understood, or wear a t-shirt that says "back off, my dog's scared of you." Whatever you can do, add it in. But the main thing is the relationship. You're going to have to see me try and take this dog to a store, or just walk down a street where people don't back off. Because how would a normal adopter take a dog where I can't walk past people on the street without him doing? And he will be in a muzzle. So that's the other thing. Muzzle training is for friends. We train them to love a muzzle. Just because if anything does happen, he will get the practice of trying to use his teeth and not influencing anyone. It won't intimidate anyone. But he's tiny. Your dog may be much, much, much bigger in just their presence. Really, we don't want them failing and that happening at all. But there will be a time where he may get trigger stacked, and I don't know. I'm in a crowd. But I will get him through the worst of it, 100%. And then I need somebody who can find a space. Sometimes we don't have the right environment for the dog, and no matter what we do, they're struggling. But thunder shirt, maybe anxiety medicine, getting your relationship better. Obviously, if I could see it in person, I would find things that I'm not able to think of here. So we'll just keep going and see if we get it done.
So Marnie, let me I've gotten a few questions which actually relate to a very natural transition, which is that we've been talking for this first half hour about dogs who are reactive and afraid, and that drives their leash behavior. There's also dogs who are excited, rude,
Yeah.
jumpy,
Let's do
pulling
that.
because they want to run at things instead of away from things. And I know, Deborah, you were describing, different, Deborah, not Barbara. Well, we have two Barbaras now. It's very confusing the call, but Deborah, you were talking about Moose Tracks, who's big and exuberant and wants to meet everybody. Tell us how to manage that sort of leash walking challenge of the high energy, excitable,
Yes.
hyper friendly kind of dog.
Watch in the background. Watch the dog. Watch the dog. Yes. I'm not watching that kid. He is. He's not playing. Good boy. Who's a puppy? Good boy. Good puppy. A good boy. He did my job for me. He watched. Thank you. He watched. Thank you. He watched the people and told me. Did you see that? It's the first time we just started working on people. So he saw the kids walking past. He looked at me, came and presented himself. He'll do that when I'm distracted, or even take it further and get me out of there. We'll be fine. Because now he's thinking about leaving the problem, not running towards the problem. So with excited dogs, okay, all on me now. So I'm not bending over and hurting my back. Good boy. With excited dogs, it's the same thing. You know what they got rewarded for? Behavior always meets a need. Dogs always do something they got rewarded for, even if it's punishing. If they think it met their need in the best way they have in their toolbox, they don't have a better tool, they'll keep using it. So the excited dog is getting rewarded because people are allowing them to meet people or dogs. Yes! People are excited and didn't even look at them. The presence of food is bribery, not training, but I'll take it right now because we're on a call. We're distracted. No perfect training. You see me without the call, it'll be a lot different. An excited dog is getting rewarded for going up to people. The person's moving when the leash is being pulled. That's it. The end of story. Get the t-shirt. If your feet move, the dog's being rewarded for pulling. So I don't have a big dog today, but I could have Andrew run and get one.
Sure.
Bruno, if you want to give me the phone and swap dogs. If I am moving and my hand is holding a leash and the dog is ignoring me, I'm gonna just check out. I'm gonna stop moving my feet. I'm gonna bend my knees. I'm gonna start turning and I'm gonna break that connection even more. You can't walk and walk. You have to go back and forth and back and forth. Just go little distances and then go another little distance. Stop taking a dog that pulls. Get a harness, get a better harness, get a freedom harness or a front fastening easy walk harness. A gentle leader for the dogs that can tolerate it. Don't even try for the dogs that actually freak out. But if my hand is being pulled and I move 1 foot, that's it. I've paid them. Now imagine the people that just keep going and you're pulling the dog back, but your feet are moving. It's craziness. Watch people's feet when they train dogs. Trainers' feet don't move. Trainers' feet don't move. It's like the game of who can move whose feet. A dog has an eye in the back above his tail, right above his butt. He has an eye in his back. He can see whether you're looking at him. He can see if you're going to follow. It's just a polite game of who leads who. It's not dominance or control. It's a polite game of who follows who. People follow dogs. So the problems they get happen when they're following a dog into a problem. Does that make sense to anyone?
Yes. My dog's been leading me for 4 years, so I guess it's time to make a change. There's squirrels everywhere. It's so frustrating for her.
So here's what I do with the squirrels. I'd be like, this is my house. I came out of the house. She could pee there. She doesn't have to go. She could pee there and then we could go. We make it here without pulling, pay. Watch, I'm going to take a large dog who Also, there we go, some pulling. Whoa, happy to see me. Hey, you're following. What are you doing? Down the steps. He was pulling, says Andrew. He followed. Now that's a dude. If I can do it, anyone can do it, right? Okay, so let me hand these things over. Hopefully I make myself look really silly now because the British love making fun of themselves. Okay, there's some people. Big dog, big strong dog, watch. I'm gonna hold it like I mean it. I'm gonna hold it like it's the most gentle, fragile thing. This is gentle and fragile. Can you see everything?
Yeah.
He's close to the end of the leash.
Mhm.
Ready? He leaves me, I leave. When he comes and gets me, I pay. If he leaves, oh, here's a dog. You know why he came here? He came here because he's reacting to, and if he sees animals or books, he screams and shrieks and is reactive. This is Bruno.
Marnie, your sound is getting really bad now. It's very tinny. Has anything changed on the phone?
No, and I'm right by the house. I'm right by the Wi-Fi. At least you got to see a little, right? You got to see there's a dog in the distance. Okay, let me try calling it again.
It might help if she just stopped and stayed still for a moment to get the signal to catch up with where she is.
Yes, her voice went up an octave. Though it is fun. It is fun watching her interact with the dogs, I have to say.
Getting a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
You're still high and squeaky.
I don't think I'm high.
It's not you personally. It's not you personally. It's something about the technology.
At least you can enjoy some of the visuals. You saw those people. Look at that dog. This dog came to me because he was dragging. They had one trainer had put on a bark collar and a hitch collar when he sees other dogs to make it manageable. Look at me. I'm sorry. I'm so proud of it because you don't need all this gadgetry. You need to meet the need. He wants to feel safe and he's trapped on a tight leash. And people keep moving. He knows I can leave and make him say,
Yeah, I do think you've reached the outer edge of your either phone signal or Wi-Fi signal. So you may want to go.
closer to the house then. Hopefully you can see all this chaos out here and how loose this dog is. Because of my feet. It's got nothing to do with the person. Andrew moved his feet so the dog folded. Watch my feet. Did you see my feet when he left? See what he's doing? Now I turn my feet. He comes. It's like magic. It's seriously like magic. My feet turn, he turns. He knows we're leaving. He can count on it. He could put all of his cookies for the day on the fact that when I turn my feet, we're leaving. So I've taught him we're leaving in a place I can really leave. I've taught him we're leaving. Watch this, watch it, wait for it. I don't have to say anything. If it's urgent, I could call him. If he's super distracted, like he wants to go in the car, he thinks he's going in the car, I just bend down, I eat, and I pay him a ton of steak while he's learning. Once he's learned, you don't need the steak. Hopefully that shows you something. Sorry about the technology, guys. I really would like to make a better video of this from start to finish because I see dogs right now, really on a serious note, I see dogs drowning everywhere and being euthanized and given up on. And it's not people's fault. They don't know there's better out there and people keep doing silly things to try and fix it instead of sensible things and easy, sensible things. Like try and practice in an hour where there's less people. Even if it's difficult, try and go somewhere where there's less people. If the dog's excited or if the dog's afraid, try and set it up a little better for success. Use your feet. Give more space on the leash. Yes, yes. It makes all the difference in the world. Practice over and over again. I can send videos, I email, here, can you take your dog once you get, you can walk him as a robot. I will
Yeah,
just talk to the camera and stay there.
So you're kind of regressing sound wise rather than getting better.
Oh, explain.
Is it at all, do you have somebody there? Is it all possible for someone to hold the phone more stably? Because
I was just moving inside to the Wi-Fi. I'm in now, I'm sitting. I'm going to give the dog to them.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I'm
feel.
on data, not Wi-Fi. Not
I-
working.
No, I would. There's something changed very abruptly a while ago. Almost like like sometimes when you switch from speakerphone to regular phone. Is there any setting that has? Well, I guess it's a little hard to check, but it-
Wi-Fi to data, so let me do that.
yeah, because it was pretty good for the first half, and now it's
Now it's terrible.
yes. And now she's frozen. Ginger, I haven't while we wait for Marnie to hopefully come back on. I do see your questions there, and we'll see if we can. Is your line plugged in? Good question.
It's a phone, so perhaps that's why. Yeah, I turned it on. Because I know how to do that. I didn't know if we had to hang up and redial again. Sorry. But I'm sitting down in 1 second. And I won't move. I won't do dogs anymore. I wanted to show you because there's nothing like seeing it. Hopefully you got something from the fact that taking dogs who are very large, boisterous, wanting to race ahead, wanting to go forward, whether it's fear or frustration or excitement, whatever the reason, you need to stop your feet and you need to pay better. Toys, tug, play, stake, whatever you can bring to the equation when they come back to you, when they come and get you. Ask me for this or ask any one of us at OPH for those tools or videos and I'll make a better one where I'm not moving around and I'll just do it from start to finish. 1, 2, 3. It's literally the connection between people that's broken and we've rewarded dogs pulling on the leash by moving, by not making the environment with less stimuli that they can cope with. They're flooded. Dogs are flooded with excitement. They're flooded with fear, and we just keep moving and moving and moving and moving. Slow it down, break it up, and help them learn that they just won all the prizes for listening to you and coming back to you. And you will not only build leash manners, you will build a recall that is unlike any other. When I turn my shoulder in a field and there's deer or rabbit moving, dogs come running because it's a game. Because I have all the resources in the world. And they'd much rather. I give attention more on the training walks and I put them away to rest and chew. And they only earn freedom in the house over time. They don't own anything until they earn it by making good choices. And I use positive training. I don't use any pinch collars anymore. I don't believe in e-collars anymore. I used to see all that and think it might be okay with some dogs. And I definitely use them myself. And it's like, the fallout is too great. There are some dogs that are so strong that I will not judge anyone if you put a pinch collar on the dog because you can't handle it. But get help. It will do more damage than good because your feet are still moving. The dog's still dragging you and you're using pain, but you're still moving. So don't get me wrong. I totally get it. I absolutely would rather somebody do that and be safe than have a dog, doing terrible dog things to squirrels in the road or, cats or dogs or sometimes people. So muzzle is our friend, but we still want a dog flooded enough to need the muzzle. We want to use a longer line when we can. Don't have tension on any kind of leash, a short leash or a long leash, no tension. If the dog puts tension on the leash, you stop. You turn around. When they come get you, pay something. Tuna, cottage cheese of any description. It's got to be protein. No cookies, no biscuits, no dog food sold in stores. Use human food. It's just food, but it's high value protein. But you only pay for service done. Like the dog's coming and finding you, making a good, safe choice, pay for it.
I was muted. Your sound did just get a lot better, so that's promising.
Okay.
Yep, you're not as high and squeaky anymore, which is good.
I was like, I have a deep, excited voice.
Yeah, no, it was clearly technology and not you personally that was the issue. Who else wants to? Ginger, do you want to pose any of the things? You put a couple things in the chat. Lori also put a link to a good leash. But go ahead, Ginger, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, and instead of people, it was dogs. But my problem was I live in an apartment complex and there's dogs all the time. And there have been several times when I've had a dog coming at me from 3 different ways and there wasn't a way to go anywhere.
That's where the muzzle sometimes, or having a dog that, what's your dog doing? Is she barking and worried, or is she aggressive? What's your dog doing, Ginger?
Well, I don't have her now. I had to be firmer with her and that seemed to be okay. But for the future, I want to know, because she actually lunged to a dog.
Yes.
And
So what kind of dog was she, Ginger? Was she little or
she
big?
was a mixed Dane. She was a big one.
Okay, Dane. Okay, so Danes can be fairly high strung, not to be stereotypical, but they are often very. Can I a liquid? Thank you. Water, fine. Yeah, so Danes tend to be high strung, high energy, but they are a working breed. And the problem is we're not getting the working side out of them enough. Most of these problems would be solved if we did this training after an hour running them around on a long line. Like we could stand still practically and have a really long line, and but in a field, let them sniff and run, or choose mental stimulation. Most of the time we're not doing enough for their energy, but practicing without dogs coming, turning around and paying for them to come and sit in front of you and look at you, come back to you, make it a game, keep building on it, so that when there is a problem, the game has been done so many times without the problem in the apartment, in the stairway, that you're just practicing a game. And that's how they earn their food, because you're hand feeding them instead of putting it in a bowl. They're now working. We bred dogs to work for us, and we're not working our dogs. It's killing them. I'm not joking. It's killing them. Like they can't handle it. They've got so many emotions and so much physicality. They just can't handle it. Exercise doesn't create a structured mind. Dogs need to. What working means is that a behavior is performed, they see recognition, or they get validation, like the sheep move, so they get rewarded. Or the farmers keeps whistling different whistles, they get rewarded by the next cue. They're rewarded by more commands to you guys sometimes. The old word's just fine. We give dogs commands that they enjoy because they get paid for it. They get appreciated, but we need to practice them more and more without the problem. Then when a dog does come, we face the wall, we eat some steak, we go back to the apartment, whatever it is, the dog just needs to practice. Sometimes though, the dog can't handle the environment. And no matter what you do, if the dog's already that reactive, you're just gonna have to find a different environment. Because sometimes the dog won't learn in that environment, but usually we can find a way to make it easier.
Yeah, we do have a trail here, which was really nice. She loved that. We would walk for a couple of miles, but the problem there was that we have dogs coming behind us and in front of us. So I would go off to the side, but she would still try to pull to go.
Yes, 100%. You just need to practice more and more. There, I would have watched you over the Zoom, would have had you practice more and more, where the dog's looking away from the problem, getting paid for it at more of a distance. If you can practice seeing the dog at a distance and the dog's getting paid for it. I have trained service dogs for people with disabilities, so they can't like run and skip and run away. And people in wheelchairs and got limited mobility, but you got to turn away and pay the dog. So the dog thinks it's a game. And then when there is a problem, they've had enough practice to be able to do it. Now, if they cannot do it in the environment, even to practice, then it means the environment is really challenging. So if someone's got that problem, feel free to reach out for me and we have to get more creative. But I practice in the bathroom, in the living room, in the kitchen, and a small kitchen. I'll practice there. Like, you can turn and have a dog come and find your face. You turn around, the dog should come find your face. You play that game, find my face, find my face. The dog will find your face, or press against the target stick and then press their nose. You can keep the dog's vision and focus off the problem. And that's what I recommended for Barbara, was target stick next,
Okay,
for that reason.
thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Can you say more about earning, what did you say? They have to earn their place in the house?
They earn freedom. If you have, let's say, I've just learned 2009 is when I started doing 30 dogs a day every day for years, and like taking the worst cases I could find. So I really changed the level of what I was doing at 2009. And what I've learned is dogs that are just allowed in the house and they're coming up with all these ideas by themselves, get on the couch, sleep, play with the cat, chew their bone, go in their crate, whatever it is. Often people don't realize they're mugging them for attention. They get the negative attention, or they're coming up with ideas and they're used to just being in charge, and people are passive. Most humans are way too passive, or they're too punishing. They're critical. They're saying no, no, no. And that makes dogs lose their mind. So thank you for bringing that up, because one of the other biggest things to fix leash problems is finding 5 more ways to say yes every day to your dog and pay them. So if a dog's coming out the crate and you know it doesn't have to be a crate. So many dogs are crate aversive. It just coming out of a room, or they're on a leash in the house. When you let them off leash, it should be because you're happy with them. They've done well. They've exercised. They're calm. And you've got activities, approved activities, you know they're going to go do. So that when they're back on leash, you're controlling a way for them to win. Because most of the time the dog's doing all these things, they're either not getting any attention, or they're getting negative attention, but they're not winning. They're not really getting told yes. And it doesn't have to be as excited as I am. I'm just exaggerating to teach, right? And the art of it is refining. The dog I worked with first, Kobe, he didn't want me rubbing his face. I'd sit down and say, yeah. And if he wanted to, he'd come up and lick my lips, because for him, I just allow it, because for him, that's a reward. He doesn't want me all up in his face. He wants to put himself on my lap or something. So I allow that. I find ways for dogs to win while I'm watching. And then when I'm not watching, they go in a room with barriers where there's chews and toys. They can't do anything wrong, but they're left alone. So I use time with me as an indication that they're doing right. And if they're making wrong choices, I remove myself and leave them in the room, or I will take them back to the room and give them a present to enjoy in their room, but they won't get time with me as much if they're making bad choices. If they want to eat my cat, they're not allowed loose in the room. Hello, oh, I love you, dog, Deborah. Oh, see right there, the dog's coming for attention and I'm saying, oh, if that dog's mostly a good dog, there's nothing wrong with that. But the dog did just decide to come up and mug his or her person for attention. Totally cute the way it's done. But the dog's getting an idea, and it's either getting paid for that behavior with attention, whether it's negative or being pushed off or told no, doesn't matter. The dog wanted attention, he got it. We have to set it up better, is what I'm saying. The answer is we have to set it up more mindfully, where the dog is earning our attention more than anything else. Play, food, attention, something to do, because they made a choice that we approve of. So we have to start seeing the dog make a choice that we approve of before we need to say no. I hope that makes sense. It's so important.
Yeah, I just want to say, I love the idea that the dogs that are sort of left to their own devices, even if you're with them, and we're often in our house with our dog, in fact, pretty much all the time now, and don't do enough to occupy her. And she doesn't get in trouble, but she does come up with ideas, clearly, that, you know, that monitoring for squirrels or barking at passersby are her passions, because we haven't given her other things to do. And so this is an inspiration to make her work more. And the tendency is to just say no when she barks out the window. And then she just learns, mom just says no to me all the time. And what am I supposed to do instead? So
Exactly, Irene. Oh my gosh, that is exactly it. So if it were me, I just put the dog on leash 3 or 4 more times a day, and have her with me and pay her for good choices, even if that choice is just laying down and being good. I'd pay it over and over again, and then I'd start naming the choices I like better. And I might say it once and then go off and do something. And when she's doing it, just come back over and feed, go off and do something, come back over and feed. The more that hasn't got anything to do with squirrels, but it gets them paying attention to you more. You become more relevant in their life, so that when you say no, it means something, because you said yes more than you said no today. And that means a lot to dogs. Actually, I had a horrible, sad thing today where I supported somebody putting down a dog because the trainers they'd had, one after the other, had supported saying no all the time. Not just the person, but the whole family, telling that dog no this, no that, no the other, because they took the don't just give the whole world and be a free dog. They took it too far. And they took it just with no. So you can like damage with that philosophy if you just don't give the dog any freedom. The dog's now controlled for everything, but you're saying everything they do wrong all day. And I asked them, I said, what did you add in? Now the dog's not, used to be free, used to jump on the couch, used to demand food, demand attention all the time, and then started biting people and being aggressive. When people came to the house, just took over everything, was in charge of everything. What did you add in once you started taking control back? What did you add in for the dog? Nothing. There were no more yeses. There was no more exercise. So this poor dog became so frustrated that now nothing they did was working for them, got them any of their behaviors met. They became so frustrated that things they were previously safe with, they were no longer safe with. They were just driven insane by criticism. So we tend to be either ridiculously passive and just watch our dogs do stuff that we don't really like, or we're saying no. So catch yourself. Maybe the challenge is to just watch yourself for a week. What is your habit? Forget the dog. If I can just train people even without the dog, like, is your habit to look at the dog and find 5 ways to say yes in an hour that they're doing things that you approve of? And then if not, how can you set up the environment without making the dog feel like a failure? Could you take some of the naughty choices away? Could you make it harder for them to fail? Once your bond is better and that you're saying yes and the dog's getting happy by whatever you're doing, that it doesn't work to just say yes. The dog has to light up. You have to play with them in a way they like, touch them in a way they like, feed them the food that makes them go nuts, not they like this food. I hear that all the time. No. If we've got a behavior we're working towards that's important to you, I want to see occasional pieces of something really, really exciting in their life. Some grilled salmon, or I don't care what it is. It can be tiny, but it's just something so flavorful. Dogs need a lot of flavor to get excited. Fat or flavor, protein or fat. So find a way to tell the dog yes a bunch of times where the dog is happy to come back to you. First of all, we need a dog that wants to come to us. Usually when we're getting ignored by a dog, it's because they're so fed up of coming to us for the no, or to be taken away from the things they want to be doing, that we're so passive. We're a dope on a rope out there. We're not doing anything interesting. And they break. We're breaking them. So we just need to step up our own game. And it's dead easy. It's not about us being horribly wrong, or it's like not punishment for humans. It should be fun. It should be a fun game for a human to change themselves for their dog a little bit. In order for a dog to change, the human has to change, or the environment has to change. Dogs are a product of environment more than anything else, or genetics. Environment is everything. So when they're failing, it means the environment's hard. Like with Barbara, it's a hard challenge for Kuno in that environment, a hard challenge. Barbara has to be so much better of a dog handler to handle navigate that kind of problem. It makes it harder. Sometimes you can make it easier by changing the hour you walk at, or getting in the car and going somewhere easier. Sometimes you can't. So you've just got to be really smart about it, really creative, think outside the box, and look to yourself first. How good is your bond in every other way? Can you get a better bond? Can you get the dog running to you joyfully? Because when you say no, it should be stop that. And they just can't wait to turn around and come back to you. I hope you saw some of that with the dog I had out there, that they're smiling and they're eager to come back. There's no aversive, there's no punishment. I'm not perfect. I say no. I've even smacked a dog in the last 5 years. There's no way I'm perfect, but I just do so much good stuff that they can forgive me so quickly for my mistakes. And that's the beauty of dogs. They will forgive us in a heartbeat. So we can change. There's no dog you can't change yourself with tomorrow and make it better, a little better. And there's some dogs that are just so far gone that it's just too much to bring them back. And that is the sad truth. I wish it were not the case. I've certainly spent my life trying to make that not the case, but it's just not true. Sadly, sometimes we have to let go.
So, well, I was going to stop you the phrase before this, in which you talked about how we can change and be better, and say that was a beautiful place to end. And then it took a darker turn, but the point is really well taken about the role we all play, and how I think lots of us are passive because it's easy and comfortable, and our dogs are, these are dogs without serious behavior issues. It's easy to be passive because they kind of accommodate, but it is an inspiration to hear you. And I really do need to work on leash pulling. So we are right at time. I just want to see, are there any final questions, or we can kind of wrap it up here. And of course, Marty is available by email, and can set up phone calls as such as well for people who want that. Any last remarks, any final questions, or if not, I think we pretty much addressed everything in the chat. Go ahead, Barbara.
I just want to say how much it strikes me that so much of what you're saying applies to humans too.
Yeah. More patience, more kindness, less impatience. I mean, we're just so impatient. We're such direct thinkers, aren't we? So yes, more creative solutions that take the pressure off, make it more fun, be silly. Because the serious problems are serious and we have to get serious, but it means changing yourself way more than the dog. I can bring most dogs here and make them great, but they got to go back home. So if we don't change the person, the environment, and our thinking, what's the point? The dog is a product of environment 99% of the time. This is why these dogs we get off transport, we don't know where they've come from. It doesn't matter, they'll adapt. We provide, if we can set the tone, they'll adapt. Genetics, sometimes we can't override. You're given the genetics you're given, and sometimes we just can't. But in a different environment, it's a different dog entirely, which is why shelters and rescues are the life of dogs, literally, because just a different home is a life they couldn't have had in the home they had before. And that comes from just knowing how to set up the environment. I can always set up an environment for a dog that'll usually work, but occasionally there's just dogs that need to be on a farm, and I don't have a farm anymore, and there's no way I'm going to have to be able to send them to a farm. So sometimes it just is that, but usually we can do a lot. So thank you, and do contact me if you need anything.
Great. Well, thanks everybody. And I'm sure we will have more of these calls soon.
Oh,
Thank you
that's
so much.
great,
Okay.
Ginger. I'm so
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks,
All right.
Irene, thank you so much for doing what you do. I love it. It's so valuable. Thank you.
Great. And thank you so much, Marnie.
Thank you both.
Okay.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you.